Hi guys, I'm Kasha. Welcome to the channel and welcome as always to our coffee times. Today we're here to talk about a genre that a lot of times merges with horror, and that is thrillers.
It's coffee time.
I'm going to be doing a tag today because it's been quite some time since I've done my last book tag, and today we are doing the thrilling thriller book tag, and I believe the first person that did this tag was Gabby Reads, so I'm gonna see if I can find that original video and link it down below for you guys in the description. I am however gonna leave the questions, so in case you want to do this yourself, you have the questions available also in the description down below. So without further ado, let's dig into it. We cannot deny that there is a very thin line between the genres of horror and thriller, and some movies, some books, some TV shows, they're really kind of merging both things at the same time. It's really hard today to categorize a book or a movie in just one genre. The horror genre, you could see it as something that it's supposed to give you feelings of fear, of terror, of disgust, and it is supposed to create an atmosphere that gets creepy and unsettling, putting you at the edge of your seat, causing you to be in a state of fear. When it comes to the thriller, what a thriller is supposed to do most of all is create suspense. It is supposed to make you keep guessing. It's supposed to give you feelings of surprise, of course bring you the thrills. It's supposed to make you keep guessing what's gonna happen next, who is responsible for whatever is happening, whatever murders or mystery you're trying to solve. So it is kind of putting you in that constant state of thrill, surprise, and expectation, anxiety. At the end of the day, you could say that a horror story is supposed to have an evil that you either have to defeat or perish trying to, and a thriller is supposed to give you a reveal, a surprise, a twist that you're not expecting. The first question is, what is the last thriller that you have bought? So this is a thriller that I still have not included in my last book haul because obviously I recently purchased it, and it is also a release from 2022 that I saw was on sale, so of course I had to get it because no self-control, and that is The Night Shift by Alex Finlay. And why did I pick this one up is because it sounds really interesting to me. We are in a video store in 1999 and 4 teenagers that were working there the night shift get attacked by a killer, and only one of them makes it out alive. Now 15 years later, the same thing happens. 4 teenagers are attacked and only one of them makes it out alive. So I believe we follow the stories of the survivors, probably their families, and I don't know, it just sounds intriguing to me. And of course I love the setting of video store, a killer that always leaves apparently a final girl or a victim that survives. So I don't know, it's really interesting to me. That's all I needed to know to pick this one up, and I'm excited. Show us the most recent thriller that you have added to your TBR pile. So I don't usually keep adding books to my TBR pile throughout the year, but there is a thriller that I added at the beginning of 2022 that I really need to get to because I've had this for some time and I've been meaning to read anything at all by this author because I still haven't, and that is The Whisper Man by Alex North. His books sound like your typical thriller stories that I will enjoy because they have this kind of creepiness, possibly more disgusting elements added to it. I still don't know because I haven't read it. It's kind of like the vibe that I'm getting. And this is about a killer that comes at night and whispers through the window. I believe it also targets its kids. So I'm really excited. I don't know what to expect. I feel like I've been hyping it up a little bit in my head because I've been meaning to read this one for the longest time. So I'm kind of scared. You know those books that you really want to read and then you wait too long and then you're kind of scared that you waited too long and the momentum is over? I feel like that's me with this book. What thriller did you have high expectations for but ultimately it let you down? And here it might be controversial, but I know that a lot of people had the same problem that I had, and that is The Guest List by Lucy Foley. So I had never read anything by the author, and I know that she's very popular when it comes to thrillers, and I was really excited to try something by her. And I even picked up the audiobook for this one to make things a little bit easier for me, and I'm glad that I did, because I feel like the only way that I could have finished this book is through the audiobook. And you know, I only have read one book by her, so I cannot really judge her as an author, but it just didn't click with me. For some reason, this book just didn't work as a thriller for me. I was never really engaged with the characters or the story. I felt like I was not really connecting with anything. I was not like at the edge of my seat waiting to see what happens next. I was not like surprised by anything. It just didn't work for me. And this is about a party that takes place in an isolated island. It's a wedding party, so we follow different guests that are attending the wedding and the mystery that happens in the island. And honestly, like I said, I just couldn't connect with the characters, and this is told through multiple perspectives as well. I think I would still like to try something else by the author, because I don't think it's fair to judge the author just on one book. But yeah, this is definitely one that I was excited about, because the author is a, you know, an author that a lot of people love and love her thrillers, but it just didn't work for me. What tropes do you love and hate in thrillers? Now, I think loving or hating a trope is a little bit too black and white, because I feel like even the tropes that I don't enjoy, if they're done right, or if they are something that it's not extremely like present in the book, I don't really mind. So things that I really love in stories is when people are trapped in the same place, when it's kind of a game and only one can survive, you know, this kind of vibe. I love that. I love to see people struggle. Yeah, I'm a really nice person, I promise. So I also love when we have like a, you know, your typical story with a serial killer that has a specific modus operandi. I also dig that. There's a lot of things that I love about thrillers, and you know, it's why I keep reading them. Now, when it comes to the things that I don't enjoy, like I said, these are things that, depending how they appear in the book, I might not have a problem with. But first of all, let's talk about love triangles and like, you know, affairs and all of these like jealousy kind of type of thing when it comes to romantic relationships. That's just not what I go to a thriller for. You know, if I want to read about these kind of things, I would go to a rom-com or, you know, a romance book or something like that. But when these kind of things are like super present in the book and are basically part of the whole mystery, that's a no-no for me. But I feel like for me, what I hate the most is what I like to call the impossible twist. For me, an impossible twist is when the author is like, well, I don't know how I'm gonna finish this book, so let me just introduce a character you've never heard of before so that he can explain everything that needs to be explained and connect all the dots. Or another one of my favorites is when basically the murder is revealed and is a character that was mentioned in one line in page 15 or somebody that just appeared towards the end, and it's just so frustrating to me. It's like, for me, that's kind of lazy writing. That's kind of like such a lazy story. So yeah, that thing just I hate. Recommend an underrated thriller, and for this I have picked Disappearance at Devil's Rock by Paul Tremblay, because I feel like whenever I talked about Paul Tremblay or I see other people talking about him, mostly we mentioned either A Head Full of Ghosts or The Cabin at the End of the World, and I feel like this book deserves a lot more of attention because this was such a good and solid thriller with a little bit of horror splashed into it, because like I said, the genres tend to merge a little bit, and I feel like a lot more people need to read this. So our main character already lost her ex-husband in a car accident, and now her 14-year-old son is missing, and she's really desperate to find him. And seeing that the police is really not getting anywhere at all, they have no clues, that's when she decides to investigate herself and talk to the people that have seen him last, which are basically her son's friends. And this was unexpected, and towards the end it gets really disturbing. I really did not expect that twist. I didn't see it coming, and I was really excited to see how this turned from a more regular mystery thriller into something completely different. Now, the next question is actually a challenge for you guys. I have to pick 3 thrillers from my shelves, and 2 of them are thrillers that I have read, and one is a thriller that I still have not read. So I tried to pick titles that I have or may have not read recently, so that it's something you might not have seen. Let's introduce option one, which is The Roanoke Girls by Amy Engel. This is the story of Lane, that she never ever wanted to return to Roanoke because of, you know, her experiences in her teenage years. But her cousin just went missing and she has a feeling that it has something to do with Roanoke. So she goes to visit her parents and try to figure out what happened to her cousin. So this is option one. Option number two is The Calling of the Grey by Simon Beckett. And this is your more typical serial killer thriller detective story. We have here in a town the discovery of some dead bodies that the police automatically know who they belong to due to the modus operandi, and they managed to catch this guy and put him behind bars. Now, years later, he manages to escape and he's coming back to seek revenge. And option number three is The Chain by Adrian McQuinty, and this thriller is all about these weird people that come to abduct your child, and if you want to have your child back, you need to kidnap someone else's kid. I know, it sounds horrific, but this is what this mystery thriller is about. I remember buying these in England in one of the trips that I was able to do to London, but have I read this one? You tell me. From these three choices, let me know down below. Which one from the three do you think I have not read yet? The next question says, people often are intimidated by the thriller genre, so I should recommend a thriller for beginners. And I decided to make a combo out of this, and I'm gonna recommend you both a thriller for beginners that I think it's really engaging and it's really gonna keep you, you know, thrilled and wanting to move forward with it, and also a book that actually is also pretty good if you want to, you know, get to read some Stephen King, and that is Mr. Mercedes. When this book came out, actually it was a little bit like Stephen King breaking the mold, you know, of his horror books, and this is a full-on thriller. It's kind of where it all started, with now him writing a lot more thrillers. And this is about Bill Hodges. He is a detective that was already retired, but he is forced to go back to investigate when there is a case of a hit and run. So this is more of your typical, you know, detective investigation story. The police will find out that the guy driving the car of this hit and run actually has a wider list of crimes, a longer list, and so they will have to investigate that. So this is a trilogy as well, so if you love the first one, you still have two more to go, and they even turned this into a TV show as well, so you have a lot of material here. So I feel like if you want to get into Stephen King but you don't really want to get into his horror books, this is a great thriller to start with. And because this is an absolute page turner and really suspenseful, it's really going to keep you engaged. Next question is, what is your all-time favorite thriller? And let me tell you, I only had to think about what is a thriller that I've ever really wanted to reread and reread, because normally when I read a thriller, a mystery thriller, I don't always reread them. Most of the times I don't. Once I have read it one time, it's enough for me. But there is a mystery thriller with a little bit of horror in it that I just could reread anytime over and over again. And I know that I have mentioned this book in my channel before, and I'm so sorry, but if I'm truthfully honest, this has been probably my absolute favorite thriller that I have ever read, and that is I'm Thinking of Ending Things by Ian Reid. Now, this book has divided people. Some people love it, some people absolutely hated it, and that is okay. That is okay. But I have read this, I think, 3 or 4 times already, and I feel like this year I should reread it again. So now you see why I had to put this book in this category, in this question. It's because truthfully, this is the one that I would always go to. And normally when I read a thriller, either I keep it because it's from an author that I really like, or I just give it away, you know, donate it, whatever, because most thrillers, I never really reread them. And that, you guys, was actually the last question, because number 9 is simply to tag other people to do this. But since I do not know who has already done it or who is even interested, because I don't know if you guys read a lot of thrillers or not, if you want to do it, the questions are down below. Feel free to do so. I hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope that you maybe found a couple of things that you would like to read yourself. Let me know down below, what is your absolutely all-time favorite thriller, or a thriller that you would reread over and over again, since I have the feeling a lot of people don't really reread thrillers much, because once you know all the twists and turns, then it doesn't have the same effect. So let me know down below. I'll be really curious to see. Thank you guys, as always, so much for watching, and I hope to see you all, as always, in our next coffee time. Bye!